The night is absolute. No moon, no stars piercing the cloud cover above eastern Ukraine. A line of Russian soldiers moves with practiced silence through a dense tree line, hunched low, weapons tight to their chests. They have trained for this. They know the darkness. They trust it. In their minds, they are invisible, swallowed whole by the black void of a winter night on the front line. No enemy could see them here. No observer could track their movement through this tangle of frozen branches and shadow. But somewhere, not far away, a Ukrainian operator is lying still behind a scope. And through that scope, the night looks nothing like darkness. It glows. Every soldier, every body radiating heat, burns like a white flame against a cold and empty world. They do not know they are already seen. The location is somewhere along the brutal Eastern Front, a stretch of contested ground that has changed hands multiple times, leaving behind shattered buildings, cratered roads, and frozen trenches carved into the earth like open wounds. The temperature has dropped well below freezing. Breath turns to vapor. Metal burns with cold to the touch. The Russian unit has been ordered to reposition under cover of night. Their commanders have calculated that darkness gives them the protection they need to move without drawing fire. They advance through a broken forest belt, moving between the skeletal remains of trees stripped bare by artillery. Some take cover in the ruins of a farm structure on the woodline's edge. Others slide into shallow trenches already dug in the frozen ground. They communicate in whispers. They move carefully, deliberately. Their camouflage is solid. The terrain works in their favor, or so they believe. Between the tree cover, the ruins, the cold night air, and total absence of light, they are convinced that no human eye could possibly find them. They are not hiding from human eyes. Several hundred meters away, a Ukrainian operator settles into position. He is a trained marksman, but tonight the weapon that matters most is not his rifle. It is the thermal imaging scope mounted above the barrel, a piece of technology that has quietly transformed the way war is fought in the modern age. Thermal optics work on a simple but devastating principle. Every living body produces heat. That heat radiates outward as infrared energy, invisible to the naked eye, but brilliantly clear to a thermal sensor. The camera does not need light. It does not need the moon or a flare or a spotlight. It reads temperature. And in a freezing Ukrainian winter, a warm human body stands out against the cold landscape the way a lit candle stands out in a dark room. It does not matter that the soldiers are behind trees. It does not matter that they are crouching in trenches or pressed against stone walls. Their bodies are producing heat, and heat cannot be ordered to stop. The operator adjusts his position slightly, presses his eye to the scope, and the darkness disappears entirely. At first, he sees one, a bright white shape, indistinct at the edges but unmistakably human in outline, moving low and slow between two ruined walls. He does not move. He watches. Then a second shape emerges from the tree line, another soldier, following the same path, equally unaware. Then a third, then more. The operator scans slowly, methodically, tracing the perimeter of the woodline and the ruins. He counts silhouettes. He notes their spacing, their direction of movement, their rate of advance. Each figure glows against the background like an ember in ash. He communicates over a secured radio channel, his voice low and controlled. He gives coordinates. He describes what he sees. On the other end of the line, a team of Ukrainian soldiers receives the information and begins preparing their response. None of them rush. There is no urgency yet, only the cold calculation of soldiers who have the advantage and know it. The Russian unit continues moving. One of the soldiers pauses, looks around, and then turns back toward the group. He has no idea that he has just been watched for the past 3 minutes. The trap, silent and patient, is already closing. The Ukrainian sniper regulates his breathing, in, out, slow. He aligns the crosshairs with the lead figure in the thermal image, the soldier nearest to the open ground, slightly ahead of the group and most exposed. The range is confirmed. Wind is minimal. The shot is clean. There's a pause that seems to stretch beyond time, that suspended moment before everything changes, when the world is still and the decision has already been made, but not yet committed. The operator's finger rests at the edge of the trigger. The shot breaks the silence like a crack of thunder in an empty field. For a fraction of a second, the Russian soldiers freeze. Then instinct floods in, and chaos replaces order. Shouts erupt. Soldiers scatter in every direction, some sprinting for deeper cover in the tree line, others dropping flat into the snow, pressing themselves against the earth as though the ground itself can protect them. One runs toward the ruined wall. Another scrambles back toward the trench. But every move they make is visible. Every direction they run is tracked. The thermal scope follows them with mechanical indifference. There is no corner dark enough, no shadow deep enough to dissolve a warm body from that lens. The darkness that once felt like armor has become a cage. They cannot see their enemy. Their enemy can see everything. The firefight that erupts in the next minutes is one-sided in a way that would have been unimaginable just decades ago. The Russian soldiers call out to each other, trying to regroup, trying to identify where the shot came from. But the darkness they relied on works against them now. They cannot see. They cannot coordinate effectively. They're firing at muzzle flash and sound, while their opponents are firing at glowing silhouettes on a high-resolution thermal display. A drone, launched from a Ukrainian position further back, circles overhead. Its thermal camera feeds live imagery to a small screen on the ground, where a second operator watches the entire engagement unfold from above. He can see the Russians' positions as clearly as if it were midday. He relays precise locations. The Ukrainian response is coordinated, calm, and devastatingly accurate. This is what modern warfare looks like. It is not always the side with more soldiers or heavier armor that wins an engagement. Increasingly, it is the side with better sensors, the side that can see while the other is blind. Technology has become a force multiplier that no amount of camouflage or darkness can simply cancel out. For centuries, darkness was one of the most reliable tools a soldier had. Night attacks were common precisely because the cover of darkness created confusion, neutralized the defender's ability to aim accurately, and allowed smaller forces to close distance on larger ones without taking catastrophic fire. Every army in history, from ancient Rome to the Second World War, understood that night meant opportunity. That calculation has been reversed. Thermal imaging technology, once reserved for elite special operations forces and expensive military platforms, has proliferated rapidly. Both state militaries and volunteer organizations have supplied Ukrainian forces with thermal scopes, drone-mounted sensors, and handheld thermal devices. The effect on the battlefield has been transformative. Night no longer equalizes. Night now favors whoever has better thermal equipment. And using that equipment effectively requires training, composure, and tactical discipline that the Ukrainian military has demonstrated repeatedly throughout this conflict. Soldiers who move at night believing darkness protects them are operating on an assumption that is no longer true. The invisible has become visible. The hidden has become exposed. The shooting stops. The forest goes quiet again, save for the distant sound of wind moving through frozen branches. The Ukrainian position holds. The Russian unit, shattered and disoriented, has either pulled back or gone still. The survivors pressing into the earth and waiting, uncertain if the engagement is over or merely pausing. When light eventually comes, not the warmth of dawn, but the dull gray of a winter morning on the Eastern Front, the evidence of the night is written into the snow. Tracks that ran in every direction, equipment dropped in flight, the remains of an operation that was meant to be invisible. For the Russian soldiers who survived, the lesson of the night is stark and will not be forgotten quickly. The darkness they trusted offered no real cover. Something was watching that they could not see, could not hear, and could not evade. Whatever confidence they carried into that tree line, they did not carry back out with them. Modern war does not wait for daylight to find you. There is something profound in what thermal technology has done to the battlefield, something that goes beyond tactics and into the deeper human experience of war. For as long as soldiers have fought, the night has represented both danger and refuge. It has been feared and exploited in equal measure. Entire battle plans were built around the assumption that darkness was neutral ground. That neutrality is gone. The sensor does not care about camouflage patterns or concealment doctrine. It reads physics, the simple, unavoidable physics of a warm body in a cold environment. Soldiers who have trained their entire careers on the assumption that darkness provides cover must now reckon with a battlefield where that assumption can get them killed. Every conflict going forward